Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all the participants who are attending this fireside chat with Infosys and Microsoft. My name is Anant Adya, and I'm the Senior Vice President and part of the Enterprise Cloud Ecosystem Services at Infosys. And I'm joined by our partner, Microsoft, and Tony Surma, who is the Chief Architect and Microsoft One commercial partner. Thank you, Tony, for joining us for this session, and look forward to having an engaging conversation with you.
Yep, thanks again. Look forward to continue talking as well.
Sure. So, Tony, in fact, as we were talking in the previous chats, I wanted to basically now shift our focus on productivity and what we are doing with employees and collaboration. And recently, again in Ignite 2021, Satya Nadella spoke about how there is a need to define productivity much more broadly, right? I think essentially everybody used to measure productivity in a very traditional way, but I think now the definition of productivity, essentially because everybody is working from home, they are not seeing each other, and there is too many meetings. The line between personal and professional life has actually blurred, and we are actually working more long hours. There is a need to redefine productivity. And in terms of how do we collaborate, how do we learn, how do we basically focus on our own well-being. So I wanted to check with you in terms of how Microsoft sees productivity and how they are seeing cloud and collaboration creating an impact and basically helping with the return on investment.
Yeah, so great question, and obviously very relevant for not just the last 12 months, but also looking forward. There's been a lot of changes and a lot of drive to organizational behavior going in different ways than maybe were anticipated. And that's going to be something that's carried forward. Anytime there's a significant amount of change, we know it's going to affect things probably in ways we don't exactly know how to predict. We know it's not going to look like the last 12 months. We also know it's not going to look like the time before that as well. It's going to be different. When we think about work from home, I think about remote teams, and really I think the right way to talk about it is think about distribution. There's going to be distributions of employees. Customers aren't always going to be in the store. Employees aren't always going to be in the office. Organizations may not always be meeting in the same room. We've created a lot of opportunity, we being the world, of seeing how business can get done without necessarily everybody getting in a plane or everybody getting into the same building. So there'll be a lot of change that comes. And so you're absolutely right that the definition of productivity, the sense of what it means to be productive will probably be changed. But I think the key is to really take a step back and why do we focus on productivity? Why does anyone think about that? And it's ultimately around what are the imperatives, what are the impact that an individual and organization is looking to deliver. And so I think when we think about really sort of having a broader view of productivity, it's anchoring that in what is the outcome, what is the impact, what is the importance of that, and then how, with both empathy for the individuals involved and with resiliency for the processes and the systems involved, how is that delivered? So that we're not just optimizing, which is of course important, but we're optimizing with a sense of resiliency and looking at employees and customers as whole persons. As you mentioned, there's going to be changing behavior, changing expectations. And so we need to really kind of take that step back and understand, how do we take a world of ubiquitous computing, the fact that people want that proactive ambient intelligence, they want that to augment their capability, not replace that. And there's so much opportunity for it. They want to meet their customers and their employees where they are and have a sense of what is the value of the work that's being done, not just how much work is being done. And so really taking all of that together, it's a new sense of productivity. And so you'll see some stuff that we talked about recently at Ignite and going forward, thinking not just about the ability for two people to communicate or collaborate on a document, which is certainly important, but thinking about their overall learning, their overall readiness, the opportunity to leverage and engage them in the hours that they have, in the time that they dedicate to work, thinking about how we invest in, an organization invests in their employees to engage them and retain them and build their skill set. That all being part of the definition of productivity, not just output of one variable, so to speak, but thinking about the broader picture. It's a great opportunity to really reimagine, I think was a word you used earlier, reimagine how we think about productivity, take advantage of what we've learned and what's possible now.
Well, absolutely. In fact, I think one thing that struck me in your response was the empathy quotient, right? I think it's very very important because I think everybody is focusing on tools and technologies and bringing this platform, that platform for collaboration. But we early on, right, at Infosys, when we started looking at productivity, we actually started making sure that employee well-being is also a part of that entire productivity discussion that we are having, right? Whether it is giving them enough breaks and making sure that there is a conversation that is happening on a daily basis between the manager and the employee. And also there are all these other activities, right? Whether it is certification, whether it is learning, whether it is the fun aspect of it. I think you are absolutely right. I think there is a need to reimagine productivity, and it has also opened up a lot of opportunities, right? As I keep saying this, that pre-pandemic, we used to basically do everything by going in person, but now look at healthcare. Healthcare has come to our home. Education is coming to our home. There's a lot that is changing, but I absolutely right. I think empathy is very important, and we need to focus on the overall well-being than just on the tools and technology is part of it. Absolutely, point taken, Tony.
Yeah, and so part of that is also looking at how people can share their knowledge, how they can be themselves creators, and then how they do that together in a community. And that's one of our focus areas going forward. We've certainly seen that. We talk about training, we talk about connecting, we talk about sort of that overall well-being. If anything, people have found ways to connect digitally more than they've done before, share their knowledge. I mean, I learn more from watching others who may not be official industry experts than sometimes even the industry experts, right? And so there's so much opportunity for building those connections with the community. I'm assuming that's something that Infosys is investing and looking at as well.
Well, absolutely. In fact, one of the other pillars of our Cobalt narrative is the Cobalt community that we have created, right? And we call it as a community of tech innovators and business innovators. And we started seeing this early on, right? I mean, if you look at Infosys, we are a 250,000 people organization, and there are a lot of folks who work on customer projects, who are closer to customers' business, and they are interacting with customers on a daily basis. So we actually started this initiative way back in 2016, and we have now replicated or brought that whole discipline into the cloud community, as we call, where we wanted everybody in the organization to contribute to innovation, because we don't think innovation happens in one office or one innovation center or with one group, but innovation is a grassroots thing, right? It has to be embedded into everybody's DNA. So we created this cloud community, and essentially what we have done is we have basically created this community of tech innovators and business innovators from both Infosys and the customer side. And this team actually looks at what are the trends in the market, what are some of the new disruptions that are happening in the market, and build these assets, as we call, right? I mean, it could be a business asset which could solve a business problem. It could be an engineering asset which could solve a technology problem. It could just be a learning asset where somebody will educate on how should we implement DevSecOps kind of a model for a customer. Or it could be something which is a knowledge asset, right? Where you basically look at what are some of the things that we have done for a healthcare customer, or for a retailer, or for a life sciences customer. So this cloud community is something which is a big focus for us. And it is not just about building assets, but creating a community of people who will look at innovating, creating products and solutions and assets for our customers. So if you look at the vision of this particular group, the community, it's today only for Infosys and our customers. But eventually we are going to open it up for our partners, the academic institutions that we work with, like the Purdue, the Arizona State University, the Rhode Island School of Design, NC State, and many more. And of course, Urbana-Champaign, because we have that common connection. Tony, we spoke about it last time, and we are working with multiple academic institutions, and eventually we'll open it to even to gig developers, so that the developers who are part-time workers, gig workers, who can contribute to this, right? So this is going to be a big focus for us, and you'll keep seeing announcements from Infosys as to how we will drive grassroots innovation with every employee of Infosys.
Yeah, that's absolutely great to hear. And obviously, skills and learning and that connecting in a community is not a one-stop thing. If technology in the last year have shown us there's going to be change, there's going to be new advances in technology, new demands. And so we've got to be in that constant growth mindset, always making sure that we're focused on learning and developing new skills versus getting sort of stuck in a place thinking we're an expert. We've got to constantly be focused on growing.
Absolutely. I think this is one more thing that I wanted to quickly highlight, and probably this is my last question in this section, Tony, is there are still customers, right? I think in fact it is very surprising when I have these meetings with some of the technology leaders and some of the leaders in the core Fortune 500, or we call them G2Ks. That they're still skeptical about cloud, right? I think there is some reasons that will bring, right? Either it is about security, or I'm too complex, and cloud is too expensive, and those kind of things, right? So what is your message, or how do you see leaders in the industry who can lead some of these transformation? Because see, as we were speaking about it, right? I mean, cloud is not just about the technology shift, right? It's about the cultural shift and the organizational shift that someone has to basically go through. So what is your message, and how do you see leaders leading the cloud transformation for their enterprises?
Yeah, no, great question, and definitely great one, I think, to kind of end our chat today on. And I think what's important is to recognize every one of those concerns is valid, and they come from a place of knowing one's business and knowing what's important. It's great to worry and think about cost, to think about what's going to be the impact of these choices. How does it affect people in your organization? How do we make sure it transforms the business going forward? And certainly security and those other aspects of trust are absolutely important. So I think the first thing I would say is, as a leader in any organization, regardless of whether you're a quote unquote technology leader or business leader, et cetera, any leader in an organization is to really think about not so much if technology has a role in it, because even if you aren't including technology, your employees and customers are already. And so it's not if, it's where and how. And to take those concerns and turn those into analysis aspects, opportunities to learn more about the role of technology in what you do in your organization or your business, which are the parts and pieces and the ways that can be used for the best impact, the best effect. So again, not so much an if, it's really an how. I think the second area is to think about not just technology being something in the background, but how it comes in the forefront, how that changes how you interact with your customers. Because as you said, whether it's by generations or by changes like it happened with the pandemic, there are going to be expectations increasingly for that proactive, holistic digital information. And so you have to find a way to engage with your customers. And also, I would say, invest in, empower, and engage your employees. They have to grow their skills. They have to be something you retain. They have to be something that every day they're thinking about how to make a process better. And so, together we have technologies and solutions that aren't just sort of back office or for the quote unquote professional developer, but are for folks to string together some business processes or adapt a form or an interface that might work better in a storefront, and someone in the back office know that. So finding a way to empower everybody to leverage technology to make something a little bit better, with of course security and regulation and other stuff built around it. So I'd say that last one there is really sort of empower everybody to find that use of technology, and you'll learn bottoms up where there's value and where it ultimately can be engaged. And then just kind of the last sort of point to end this on is, everyone who's a leader in an organization, be them a corporation, a nonprofit, government, et cetera, we together, all of us, are the ones who are defining what that future looks like. We're not a passenger in the ship. We're in control to a certain extent of it. So really take that step back and think about, what is that responsibility for that opportunity to drive the transformation, to make the differentiation in your organization, to move your industry or your constituents or employees, customers, et cetera, to help move them forward. Take advantage of that and find that leadership opportunity to define the future of where your organization and where your industry wants to be, and be a leader in that. And I think that's where we see the most return on investment, the most engagement of employees, and the most retention of customers really come from, is driving that forward-looking leadership and sort of creating the future.
I think brilliant points, Tony. This was a great session. In fact, we spoke about productivity and redefining or the need to redefine productivity. We spoke about how to focus on employees and build that grassroots innovation and bring in that culture of sort of learning and continuous learning and build these new skills that is required for the new age of cloud or digital as we call. And last but not the least, the leadership, right? I think it's very important what you called out. I think defining the future, taking sort of a lead in what that future should look like, and then empowering and engaging with your customer or basically with your employees. I think this is something that will surely help make that shift from a technology shift to an organization or a culture shift, and I think make everybody successful. So again, thanks a lot, Tony, for your time. Brilliant points and surely a lot of learning for me in terms of what you spoke, and I made some points and I had to basically quickly summarize them. Thanks a lot for your time, and look forward to working with Microsoft and especially you in many more engagements and winning more in the market. Thank you.
Yeah, no, this has been great conversation. Thank you for the opportunity and the partnership. Love working together and what we can do and make more possible with our joint customers.